Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you so much. A lot of excitement going on in the district. Everyone's enjoying. Hope we had an enjoyable Veterans Day. We have a few football playoffs coming up. It's exciting. And our volleyball team is great getting into the playoffs as well for volleyball. A lot of excitement. But from this point, I think we're just going to move on to the presentation by the superintendent. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Pinto. And we're reversing the order a little bit tonight. We're supposed to start with the external and internal auditors report, but she's delayed. So we're going to start. I'll do the presentation. We have some students presenting tonight. We'll do a little business. We should be here by about 7:30. So tonight, I wanted to present to you on something that's literally hot off the press. This was decided at the Board of Regents meeting just last week. And it represents, that's not the sinkhole on Plato Boulevard, even though that's what it looks like. It is actually a seismic shift. And this is the biggest shift in education in New York State, literally in 150 years. Regents exams started to be given in New York State, I think, in 1866. And so the movement away from that kind of assessment as a measurement, and that's the biggest shift in this conversation, is nothing short of an earthquake. There are some transformations that have been recommended by what's called the Blue Ribbon Commission. Over the last 2 years, a big group across New York State of teachers, administrators, parents, and other stakeholders have been looking at both our structure of high school graduation requirements and how we assess them, and made recommendations to the Board of Regents for changes in those requirements. And just last week, the Regents accepted those recommendations and set a timeline for how this will get rolled out over the next few years. So I'm just going to go through it with you briefly. I wanted to present it to the board tonight so that they heard about it, but we will be doing presentations to the community over the next few months, to our staff as well, because I don't know that our staff fully knows that this is all coming, and to parents. We'll be posting videos on it. We'll try to get the word out in every way that we can so that people have a good understanding of it. And the good news is that unlike most of the things the state has done in my lifetime, they're rolling this out gradually. So there'll be a lot of time for people to ask questions and kind of get an understanding of what to expect and give feedback along the way. So let's dive into this now. So there are recommending 4 proposed transformations. The first, and one thing I want to say here is one of the things I'm really happy about is we are ahead of this in Long Beach by a mile. There are districts that haven't even begun this work, and we're well into this work. So the first transformation is to adopt the New York State profile of a graduate. In other words, what are the qualities that any graduate in New York State should have? The second one is to redefine credits and expand learning experiences. So I think they're recognizing that we learn in all different ways, and even more so now in these modern times than years ago. Our kids do internships, they have summer jobs, they can create performance assessments. There are things that they can learn by doing, and they should get credit for those things. Kids who are varsity athletes, do they need to take the Zen class? Kids who are pursuing art or theater or ballet outside of school, we can start to look at ways to give them credit for that. And credit will no longer look like everyone taking the same thing every year. Those 22 Carnegie units that were around since probably my grandmother went to high school, ending in a Regents exam that you had to pass to graduate. They'll sunset the diploma assessment requirements, not the assessments themselves. So I'm here really clearly saying Regents are not going away, but they will no longer be coupled with graduation. There will be multiple ways for you to assess and demonstrate proficiency in the subject area. And we're going to move to one diploma, no more local Regents, advanced Regents. So we'll need one New York State diploma, but we will have the opportunity to add skills on that diploma to distinguish students in certain areas. So we already have that now with the skills of civic readiness, and by literacy, we'll be adding skills like a STEM skill, a fine arts skill, CTE skills in different credit areas. So there'll be a way to customize the diploma, but still keep it one diploma for all students. So just to elaborate on this a little bit, I think and these are all slides I lifted right from the board of this presentation. The thinking was that we want to look at education in New York State much more holistically. We're one of only 10 states in the nation that still has graduation exit exam requirements. That puts our kids at a disadvantage when they're competing to get into colleges and workplace assignments with kids from other states. We're going to adopt this New York State Portrait of a Graduate. In other words, what are the qualities we want our kids to have? And we'll talk about that in a minute. We'll sunset the diploma requirements. We'll move to one diploma. Our students will be equipped with the knowledge, skills, and dispositions necessary to thrive in this world. Over the last few weeks, we've been talking in the district a lot about AI and the changes that's bringing to our world and our workplaces, and will need to be changing in education. How do we get there, and how can we help our kids to succeed in this increasingly interconnected world? And then we'll figure out a way to assess that. They're going to develop rubrics and kind of keep that high level of expectation and rigor, but with multiple ways of assessing those competencies. So as I said, the first transformation is to adopt the New York State Portrait of a Graduate. They have not adopted it yet, but this is kind of the framework that they're looking at. And you can see, there's some basic areas there that they want students to be engaged in, including civic engagement, problem solving, literate cross-content areas, social emotional competence, etc. And as I said before, the good news is, I'm going to skip ahead, Long Beach is ahead in that work. We've already developed a profile of the graduate, which looks very similar to the state framework, and we have actually developed rubrics to measure how those competencies are expressed across the curriculum. The next one is, the slide that I will add a word in here, so I'm going to skip around. So we define how credits are earned, and I talked about this a little bit before. Instead of everyone taking Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2, Calculus, or whatever, there will be bigger buckets of areas where you have to earn credits. So there may be a STEM bucket. Maybe a student in STEM will take Geometry for construction, for example. Maybe a student in STEM will take a heavier computer science bucket. But there'll be ways to customize those buckets to your student interests and strengths, and still provide different options and a rigorous curriculum for kids. There'll be new requirements for CTE and financial literacy. Again, we're ahead of that here in Long Beach. Every 8th grader now takes career and financial management and gets high school credit for it, so we're already on that path. And who doesn't need to know how to manage their finances? And finally, expand ways to show for students to show evidence of proficiency. And I'm going to pop back this slide show you after the other one. So, what are some of those ways? Approved work-based learning or service learning experiences, capstone learning experiences, things like the IB diploma or the AP capstone project, early college, high school, college credit. If you're taking a college class or a college level class, that can be enough to demonstrate the proficiency in the area. Of course it should be. Earning New York State credentials or seals, and again, we're already ahead of that. We have many students here proportionally who earn the skill of civic readiness and the skill of literacy, but proportionally much higher than many other districts in that area. So that's something we're also proud of. CTE programs, we've talked a lot about that over the last few years. We've expanded the CTE offerings here. CTE can be a very rigorous pathway for students and can get students an excellent job pathway in something that they're interested in and there's need in. Participation in the arts, making the arts more of a competency-based structure so that it recognizes the arts on the same level as other different programs. And again, passing approved assessments. Again, I'm going to say it at least 3 times, the readings are not going away. They'll just be counted in a different way. It'll be one way that you can can show proficiency. Let's get back to what it was. The third transformation, as I mentioned, we were going to sunset the Regents as a requirement for graduation. And I'll show you the timeline for that in a minute. But again, this is my third time saying it, they're not going away. They'll still be administered, they're required to be administered right now by the federal government, but the plan is to still administer Regents exams. Oh, I put that in a splash. Regents exams are not disciplined, should have been bigger. This is a great way to illustrate one example of how multiple means can demonstrate proficiency. So if you look at the basic standard, New York State graduates are effective communicators. So one way to demonstrate proficiency in that could be on the other side, pass the state exam in English language arts. That's still one way. But maybe there'll be other ways. If you earn the seal of biliteracy, you're essentially demonstrating that you are literate in 2 languages. So if you earn that seal, that's another way that you can do it. You've developed a locally developed capstone project, maybe a research paper or a research paper and presentation that requires you to really communicate well. You've successfully completed an English composition course, perhaps at the college level. That's a way for you to demonstrate that you're an effective communicator. You successfully completed digital media communications in a CTE program. Again, to do this is a high-level rigorous experience, in some ways more rigorous than the Regents exam, but students will have options about how to demonstrate that proficiency. And finally, if you work for the Herald for the summer and they give you an internship as a writer or a proofreader and you need people to attest to the fact that you've developed excellent communication skills, that can be a discipline as well. The movement to one diploma, and this is something that we've been advocating for. Again, other states don't have different kinds of diplomas. A diploma is a diploma. And a high school diploma is the first credential, main credential that a person earns. There should be 1 year state high school diploma. We will still have the ability to customize diplomas and allow students to demonstrate interest and proficiency in certain areas through these additional seals. As I said before, I'm proud that we've been ahead of this for years. We've been aligning our curriculum with the courses of graduate that we developed. We already have all 8th graders taking career and financial literacy. We've expanded our CTE offerings and I think raised the rigor and the visibility of those CTE offerings. We've expanded our internships tremendously over the past few years. We have expanded our marine science offerings in particular. One of the specific requirements in the new framework, in addition to career and financial literacy, is climate education. Not necessarily as a course, but integrated into the science coursework. And we've already done a lot of work around that here, especially in our beach community. We have high percentage of students earning both of those skills and students earning CTE skills and pathways as well. We have talked a lot about introducing micro-credentials, and this will be another way to kind of distinguish students and earn skills in different areas in topics like scuba diving, or in stock market analysis, or in EMT certifications. So those micro-credentials are yet another way that we can add to our students' portfolio of achievements and distinguish them while still having one high school diploma. And we've also done a tremendous amount of work here towards moving our students and our staff to performance-based assessments. What has hindered us is, if you're a high school teacher, you still have to get your kids to pass the Regents. And I think that'll be the biggest shift. It will free our teachers to be creative, to give assessments that they want to give, but maybe haven't had the time to give when they knew that their students were facing an exam at the end of the course that had 50 multiple choice and 4 constructive responses or something like that. So it allows us to move even more in that direction. It allows us to do so in a way that doesn't hurt students or staff. And I think in Long Beach, we philosophically have aligned ourselves to that over the course of the past 2 years, so we're really ready to do it. So the timeline, that was the big question. When are we going to do all this? So it's really 3 phases, but it's really 4 phases. So they're still talking about this year as a planning year. This is through summer 2025. Phase 1, they're going installation, phase 2, initial implementation, and 3, full implementation. What that looks like, this is also something that they want to, this will be in the planning year. So this will be this year. They will give the ability for districts to give exemptions for major life events from diploma requirements. You asked me what major life events are. I do not know. The state will have to give us direction on that. In my mind, everything is a major life event to a teenager. But I think what they're looking to do is give us the ability to have some flexibility for kids who, go through some mental health crisis or lose family members or have some really big events in their life and can't complete a Regents exam. They will release the definitions of the portrait of the graduate for New York State and then formally adopt it. And they'll form support networks to work on creating some rubrics to measure that. The installation year, so this is through summer of 2027. They'll release the rubrics for the portrait of the graduate. In other words, they'll tell us how we can measure it. They will release prioritized, reformatted learning standards with guidance. They're looking at the learning standards for every single subject and reformatting it, revising it so that they make more sense, that they look similar in every subject, and that they're easy to understand. As I said, they're looking to require instruction in financial literacy and climate education, and they'll release details on the new credit requirement phased in by cohort. We'll talk about that in a minute. And again, building more support networks. I think they like to say they're building support networks so that we don't get nervous if they're just going to throw this at us. The second, this is an important one. In this fall of 2027 is when the diploma requirements will sunset in terms of being coupled with Regents exams. So in real language, this year's juniors and seniors still have to pass all the same Regents to graduate. This year's freshmen and sophomores may not have to pass Regents by the time they're juniors and seniors. There may be other ways to demonstrate proficiency. Everyone prior to that will certainly have other ways to demonstrate proficiency. Now again, our advice is we still have to look at passing the Regents for now over these next few years because we don't even know what will be permitted, allowed, recommended as the other ways, even for our freshmen and sophomores. So the message is going to be still Regents as usual, at least for 2 years. But after 2 years, the Regents are decoupled from graduation requirements for all students. That means the students who are beginning their junior year, those students will not be required to take those Regents exams to graduate. Again, I think the state's going to give us more direction on exactly how that works, but that's basically the framework and the timeline of that. They will also move to one diploma as of fall of 2027. And that is support them. And then full implementation and scaling up. They're going to move to a new statewide transcript. This is also a welcome aspect. Right now, there are 400 different transcripts across the state. Every high school has its own format. We have to figure out what it looks like. And again, our kids are applying to colleges against each other with transcripts that look very different. The colleges have to figure out. So going to one universal high school transcript, I think, will be a great thing to our kids in terms of making sure that we're reflecting the rigor and the wonderful work that we're doing in Long Beach in the state and other districts. And then there's those wonderful support networks there. As I said, the diploma requirements by cohort 2023 and prior, that means students who were in freshman year last year. Same thing. 24 to 26, you can see, again, those sunsetted diploma assessment requirements will be decoupled by the fall of 2027. 27 and 28 and 29 will move into those new credit requirements, the buckets, the bigger buckets of ability to earn credit, and we'll be moving to one diploma and one statewide transcript. That's just kind of a restatement of the timeline. I think everything is done in there. This is really a huge shift in the state. It's an earthquake, for sure. But it's an earthquake, unlike, and I sound cynical, but I think those of us who've been around for a while, who through state ed transformations that we looked at and said, oh no. This one is one that I think will really, really benefit students, all different kinds of students. It will make school more relevant to our kids. It will allow us to prepare kids for a world that is very different from the world that we prepared for when we were in college. And I think what I heard over and over again from the Board of Regents is that they want to trust teachers and trust districts to do the right thing by students and trust the educators in the field. That's a very different kind of attitude that we've heard from state ed for a long time. And I think that there'll be a ton of work. There are a ton of unanswered questions. I'm sure there are a lot of people who'll be very nervous about how this is all going to work out. But I think they're absolutely moving in the right direction. And I'm just so proud of our Long Beach team for having been part of these conversations for so long that we're just so ready to kind of move into that as a next step. So with that, I'll take questions and comments from the board.
Thank you, Dr. Gallagher, on that presentation. We've spoken about this. I'm really glad to see that we're on the leading edge of this. We're practicing this methodology and thought process for a handful of years. I'm glad the state's on catching up to us. And it's great for the staff and students. And I'm opening up the floor to other board members who have questions or comments.
Thank you, Dr. Gallagher. I just find this whole thing very exciting. And when you use the word relevant, this is really relevant. It's creative. It really does, you don't have to define each student in a little box that everybody else is the same. And I think our kids will shine and be motivated to come to school if they can sort of design their program almost like an ad hoc major in college. So I think that this is going to be really good for our students, and I am truly excited to see how this plays out.
Dr. Gallagher, thank you for your presentation. I remember when they first decided to change the amount of diplomas they were giving out and all of the meetings that we had here in Long Beach, here in Island Park, and many parents spoke to this, to pretty much tell about how dismayed they were about how the diploma changes back then were hurting their students, were hurting their children. So I'm glad to see that New York State is going back to one diploma. I think that's a very important factor in all of this. I'm also happy to see that there's a focus on project-based learning, because as we know, that's really how children learn, because you make it more relevant to their life, and when you make it relevant to the children's life, they really want to learn it, they're motivated, and it makes school more enjoyable for them. I'm also happy to hear, and I really hope it's true, that the state is learning how to trust our teachers and districts. And, you know, I know as being an educator myself over 32 years and having my children go through this school district, I know how much we can trust all of our teachers in our district to do what's best for our students. So I really hope that the state feels the same way and continues to do so. So I know that the state can change sometimes, but I'm hoping that they will be staying true to this. And I look forward to hearing more good things about it in the future.
I wholeheartedly agree with what everyone's saying. I actually do have a few questions. As far as kids now, over the next 2 years that are going to be graduating, do you think the New York State colleges are going to be looking at these new kind of like trend that's going to be moving forward and taking it into account for the kids that are graduating next year and the year after? As far as like, it's so heavily weighted now on Regents diploma, certain colleges, you know, are so focused on that, and then we have students that are not getting Regents diplomas or getting them. So do you think that will come into play or not necessarily?
I think it already has, because remember, you know, New York State schools admit not only students from New York State. And so, and with the kind of decline of the SAT and that's become optional, I think colleges are also looking more holistically at applicants, at least that's my hope. I think probably depends on the school and the number of applicants they get. But I think that they're going to have to, because I think the second part of this conversation is if high school is changing, does college have to change as well? And I think that people are not gonna wanna pay $75,000 for college and have their students take things that they're not seeing as relevant to their life and their careers. So I think sometimes education has changed that, top down, college has changed, we prepare kids for college. I think this might be an instance where college has to change because K-12 education has changed.
No, I totally agree. My next question, obviously, most of you know, near and dear to my heart, is special education. So how do you think this is gonna impact going to one diploma is a positive? But also I'm looking at these seals, so seal of civic readiness and maybe some other things. Is that gonna open up opportunities maybe for more inclusion?
Yes,
Because
absolutely.
we don't have those requirements anymore for them to pass the tests.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of where we're headed. That is super exciting. Overall, I mean, I know Dr. Gallagher has led this charge since I've known her, and always forward thinking, and I think creating our school to mirror kind of, you were ahead of the curve. And all these things we've implemented, like the CTE classes and just the profile of graduate, we're way ahead of that, and that was all kind of initiatives that you were participating in or led. So I think we're in great shape here in Long Beach, and I'm glad that New York State is catching up with us.
And I have to say, that's because our staff is as well. I've always found the staff here to be focused on what's best for kids. And I think, not that all school districts aren't, but I think here in particular, our staff has always been willing to look at things from a different lens. And that takes courage, and it takes some ability to be creative and to say, you know what, we're a little different. We're gonna look at things a little differently and try to do what's best for our students here. So I'm really happy to have been part of that work and proud of our staff for joining in.
And just my final question, timeline for the community, because I think this information is super valuable to get out, and I don't think people would be aware. I certainly would be aware if I was on the board. So how are we gonna, get this out to the masses?
So within the next 2 weeks, I'm gonna create a little screencast webinar, similar slides and do like an overview screencast, the way we've done with a few curriculum initiatives, RAP and some of the other ones over the past few years, and I'll send it out to everyone. I don't watch any videos the ideal way, but at least it'll get the word out and people will hear it, and then, we'll have regular updates of board meetings about this as it progresses. Again, I think there's still some details that the state has to fill in. And I know that there'll be people working on that, so it'll be part of our conversations regularly, but at least initially, I'll put together a presentation to send out.
Exciting stuff. Thank you so much, guys.
Great. Step through the presentation.
So I think if we're okay with this, we'd like to move to our student showcase. We started the presentation because we started a little early, and we didn't want to take a chance on missing some of you guys. So if we are ready, we will move to our quite surprise IB, AP, and dual enrollment, which is a wonderful presentation to do tonight.
Hi everyone, I'm Jackie McMahon, I'm the coordinator of the counseling program. Dr. Smith and Mrs. Graham and I had the opportunity the past 2 weeks to work with awesome kids and helping us present to you our AP, IB, and dual enrollment programs. So they're going to take it away. They will each have the opportunity to talk about some of their personal points of pride or things that they love about their school or their extracurriculars. They'll highlight a course in one of the areas that we're talking about tonight, and then we'll go through the commonalities of AP, IB, and dual enrollment, and then the differences in the programs. And then we'll have some time for questions at the end. So I'm going to introduce Blake to come on up and talk to us about his personal points of pride and the commonalities between AP, IB, and dual enrollment.
Hi, thank you all for having me. My name is Blake Estero. I'm a senior here. Some points of pride, varsity wrestling. I've been doing that 4 years, and that's something that's truly changed my life. I completed an internship with Dr. Matt, who I'm sure everyone that lives in Long Beach knows. It was great. It really helped me just learn more about my interests, I would say, in the healthcare field, and it's helped me pick courses for this year that really help me with that specifically. I just wanted to talk a little bit about dual enrollment. It's something that I've taken this year. I'm taking super writing right now, and I think it's great to be, well, every day, ninth period, I have the opportunity to walk to that classroom, and I'm in a Syracuse classroom, Syracuse coursework, with a Syracuse professor following a Syracuse syllabus, and we're called college students, and to me, that's kind of mind-blowing that I get to do that in Long Beach High School, and it's something that's really given me a better look on what I'm going to be doing in college, and it's given me the opportunity to earn college credit, and it's helping me to be a strong writer. It's helped me with my college essay and other writing that I've done in general, just in school, outside of school. And my favorite assignment so far is a blog post about the college application process, just because it allows me to take a new look at the whole process and now come from, instead of someone that's going through the whole process, someone who gets to write about it from more of that writer point of view instead of the person that's reading the point of view, and that's been great. One more point of pride is just working in the wood shop, which has been something I've done all 4 years, and Mrs. McMahon insisted I put my photo
You made
up
that.
YouTube. And that's something that's been great too, that I've enjoyed doing at my high school. Thank you. When we talk AP, IB, and dual enrollment commonalities, every college, depending on where you apply, has their own policy regarding credit requirements. So one school might take it and one school might not, depends on where you're applying. And it's definitely an enhanced academic preparation. Like I've taken regular level courses, and as I've gone up from freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, I've taken more of these enhanced courses, and you can definitely see the difference and feel the difference in the classrooms and with the students that you're sitting with, and to me that's been very helpful. Like I said, you're engaging in college level coursework. The first day of school is at Syracuse University syllabus for this super writing class, and that's something that's helped me excel as a student. And it's open access for all. You don't have to have any particular grades or honor rolls or anything to take these classes, which I think is nice because there's so much room to grow as a student, and these classes help me do it for sure. And there's always opportunity for college credit. The class I'm taking right now particularly allows me to get, I believe, 6 credits, and wherever those transfer, that'll be great. So I've loved my dual enrollment class so far, and thank you guys for your time.
Hi, I'm Shannon Fisher. I do varsity tennis, senior class, Asian American Club, and Youth Wellness Council. I'm interested in studying law, so I do law-related internships, the courts and the Justice Institute. Some other college level courses I take in are AP World, AP Chem, and I'm also taking supervising. And I wanted to spotlight CAS. So part of the IB program is this community activity service program. You have to do a certain amount of experiences every writing period, and one big part of CAS is the CAS project. It looks really good for your resumes and for colleges, and it provides you with different volunteer opportunities. So for my CAS project, me and my friends, we led a holiday trick-or-treating fundraiser for UNICEF, and we ended up raising over $1,000, so that was great. I enjoy CAS because I like taking initiative, working with others, and just doing community service and helping other people.
Hi, my name is Ariana Jera. Some personal points of pride for me is I was the captain of our varsity field hockey team here. I'm the treasurer of the World Language Honor Society, also part of Key Club. And I'm interested in studying business, and I took AP World History for my sophomore year. I wanted to highlight the class TOK, Known's Theory of Knowledge. This class is a requirement when you enroll to the IB diploma. This class promotes critical thinking and explores various ways to gain knowledge. And what I like about this class is it connects all the IB courses a candidate takes. And I find it very interesting because I'm constantly learning something new that broadens my view of the world. And I wanted to take the IB diploma because I thought that it would help me prepare for my college classes as the workload is very similar. And I enjoy challenging myself, which is why I took the diploma. The IB diploma is a part of a comprehensive 2-year diploma program emphasizing global perspective, critical thinking, and holistic learning. Colleges often recognize higher level or known HL courses for credit and may offer IB diploma recipients additional credits. The assessments include coursework, projects, and exams. Scores range from 1 through 7.
There's a lot of different courses you can do. For example, I took physics, anthropology, math, English, Spanish. It's every exam is $123. Financial assistance is available, and the exams are required for each class.
Hello. So I am Arsene Krapko, and I'm in 11th grade. I pretty much enjoy a lot about computer science, and also I love physics. I was a wrestler, and I worked during the summer. Nice. I was taking a lot of courses, from dual enrollment to AP courses. My biggest courses were computer science and AP World History. I'll start from AP World History. It was one of the most challenging classes which I ever took. It taught me a lot. I started to write a lot of essays, and I got a perfect scores in my class and on AP exam. So it was really nice. I really enjoyed it. Another class was AP Computer Science Principles. And I loved this class. I think it's the best class which I ever took. I can say that it prepared me a lot. Also, it helped me in future, like in IB computer science classes. And also, it was very chill, and that's the most important. Okay. Okay, we don't have many classes, but they all are nice. The scores are ranged from 1 to 5, and 4 and 5 are determined as a good scores. So maybe one of the advices which I can give is try to lock in and be chill about the exam, because you can always retake it, or you can take an extra ones, actually. You can talk to Dr. Smith, and he'll give you a couple of exams, whichever you want. So now I'm taking 9 exams. I think that's all what I wanted to say.
Hi, my name is Kathy McGuire, and I'm in 11th grade at Palm Beach High School. And some of my personal points of pride was I was the district's Hobie ambassador last year to the seminar, and I'm the secretary of ITS, and I'm also in IB English, College Free Calculus, IB Environmental, IB Coda, and the one that I'm following today is TV Studio, which is my dual enrollment class. So I've always been pretty interested in like film and filmmaking, which I think stems from my mom. And TV Studio is a very student-led class, and I'm sure many of you watch The Morning Wave, or you should be watching The Morning Wave, because we put a lot of our class time into that. And we go to film festivals and submit that to places, and I submit personal work to film festivals, and that's one of my favorite parts of the class is seeing my work up on the big screen. So dual enrollment is, dual enrollment courses are taken in a college or university at your school, so it allows you to get high school credit and college credit at the same time. And college credit is guaranteed by the school that you're taking it through, so I'm taking TV Studio through Suffolk. So if I go to Suffolk, I'll get college credit for sure, but college credit, guys, come on. And the curriculum and grading are determined by the college, and there's no like standardized test for the end of the classes. So, and the cost varies by this.
And that concludes our presentation. Any questions for maybe the kids or any of us regarding the programs?
I just have one quick question for Blake. You built that awesome chicken coop. I want to know, are there chickens in that coop?
There are chickens.
Bring some eggs.
I will.
No, I just want to say, I mean, having the students come here just really is a highlight, because we do all of this work to help make sure that you guys are getting as much as you can out of your education. And just listening to your presentations tonight, I could hear the excitement, I hear the interest. So it really means a lot that you took the time to come and present this, so thank you so much for coming here.
I totally agree. I also think, I love that you guys were focusing on the fact that you can get the college credits, but that's not necessarily the end game, and it's about taking the class, having fun. The class is being chill, which is always nice to hear. And also just preparing for college. I can tell you, I do have 2 kids in high school, but I have one in college who did do the MD diploma. He said they took all of his credits, and he's graduating a whole year early and can get a master's degree. So he's actually going to graduate college in 4 years, but with a master's. So if you're doing those classes, most of the colleges do take the credits if it is worthwhile. So either way, you're having a great experience. But just wanted to share that with you guys. Thank you for your presentation. It's very brave to get up and speak. I appreciate it.
Great job, everyone. Thanks so much for coming out.
Thank
More than welcome to stay if you'd like for the rest of the presentation. We got outside audits, inside audits, for financial reasons, but keep up the great work, and we're still proud of you, and we're going to be proud of you for a long time. Thank you again.
Good job.
Thank you.
So we just finished the Board of Education comments, so we are ready for the student organization announcements. Come on down.
So the first blood drop was on November 1st, and it was very successful with 71 signups. And we intend to have even more signups for future blood drops, which will be held in February and May. Next is, last week was the trick-or-treating for canned goods food drop, where all of the cans went to the Long Beach Food Pantry. And now with that done, we're beginning to discuss Class Olympics, which will be in the end of February this year. All the classes have started deciding on their themes and creating their t-shirt designs, and we're discussing possible ways to improve or restructure the day of Class Olympics as a whole. Looking a little further into the future, with homecoming in October and Class Olympics in March, we're looking into a possible winter or spring event, such as a pep rally or something else. And we're also thinking of potential fundraisers and any other events to run as a club throughout the year and for years to come. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome, great. Thank you. So moving forward, we're going to continue on the agenda for now. Questions and comments from tonight's, from the public on tonight's agenda only. Okay. Anna, we'll do this afterwards. Thank you. Anyone questions and comments on tonight's agenda? All right, with that being said, Treasurer's report for September 2024. I know actions, right? Sounds good. Approval of minutes for executive session of October 8, 2024, and executive session of the regular meeting of October 22nd, 2024. Can I get a motion? Motion. Approval. A second?
Second.
Any discussion? Ms. Pace?
Yes.
Ms. Kelsey?
Yes.
Yes.
Ms. Conway, and I vote yes. I'd just like to bring up this, I forgot to bring up earlier, Dr. Ryan sends his regrets, he had an obligation with family, all is well, he, would like to have been here, but he's unavailable. One more. Moving on, we're gonna start with the presentations of the superintendent.
Thank you. I ask the board to consider item 1, certificated personnel as amended, and the amendment is rescission of item 1D.
Is there a motion on the floor?
Motion.
Second.
Yes, Lori got that, all right, any discussion? All right, Ms. Pace,
Yes.
Ms. Belsey,
Yes.
Ms. Conway,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
Item 2 is non-certificated personnel.
Is there a motion?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Belsey,
Yes.
Ms. Conway,
Yes.
Ms. Pace,
Yes.
and I vote regretfully yes on, 2A, but happy to vote yes in favor of that, not looking up, but she knows why.
I asked the board to skip for now items 3, 4, and 5 because they pertain to the auditor's presentation, which we still need to hear tonight, but approve items 6 through 12 together.
Is there a motion for 6 through 5, 12, blanket vote?
Motion.
Any second?
Second.
Ms. Belsey,
Yes.
Ms. Conway,
I would just like to say thank you to the donations for 8A and B. I think it's very generous of the company and the people to do their donations, so I just want to give them a big thank you. And then I vote yes.
Ms. Pace,
Yes.
and I vote yes. All right, so now we're gonna go back into order, but out of order. We're gonna have the auditor's presentation. Welcome.
Good evening to the Board of Education, Dr. Gallagher, administration and community. My name is Jill Sanders, I'm a partner with the firm of Cohen and Janoski. Each year, the state education department requires that the school district have an independent audit of their financial books and records, and we just completed our audit today, as a matter of fact. And so I wanted to extend my appreciation to Mr. DeVito and his staff, who were very cooperative in the process, providing us whatever information we needed on an ongoing basis. So my report this evening is a good report from a number of perspectives. You have 4 documents that I'm going to walk through with you fairly quickly, and I apologize if there's any questions after we go through them. Please direct them back to Mr. DeVito, and I'm more than happy to answer them. The first report, the biggest one that you have in front of you, is the independent auditor's report. It's a financial statement document. It's where we give our opinion about whether or not the financial statements fairly present in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. And so you see the various funds that we audit, and you can see our opinion on the various funds. After the auditor's opinion, there's management's discussion and analysis, which is some friendly information, overview of the financial statements. And then behind that is going to be the financial statements themselves, key basics of accounting, disclosures giving more additional information about the financial statements, some supplementary information required by the professional standards, and then information required by the state. So I just want to make a couple of comments financially first, because you have not had a chance to look at any of the documentation. So the district's finished in a very good year. Very obvious that the budget that's put in place is monitored very closely. Okay? With respect to the spending part of the budget, there's a portion of the budget that wasn't spent. It's not a large portion. It's a little bit over 1%. That's good management of your budget. With respect to the revenue side of the budget, it was a good year. And it was a good year from a number of different perspectives when we get the chance to look at the financial statement. One of the things that happened was, as we know, interest rates were fairly favorable last year. And that's really an unknown revenue that you don't budget for, because if it doesn't come to be, then you don't have the dollars to be able to support whatever you need to spend throughout your budget. And so that's a very favorable variance that you had on the revenue side of the budget. Charges for services, so you do provide services to other school districts, both instructional and ancillary services. and there were more services provided during the year, so that generated a positive variance on the revenue side of your budget. So all of these things worked favorably for the district to be able to be at what's known as the 4% of the subsequent year's budget, that you're unassigned, that you're free and clear, it's the most that you can have, in accordance with your property tax law. And so you were at the 4%. You do have some reserves. Part of the auditor's role is to make sure that those reserves are in compliance with general municipal law and education law. And we were able to see that all the transactions that took place through the reserves were board authorized or they're budgetary authorized. The biggest ones obviously are the capital reserve. So everyone remembers in the community that with this year's past budget, 24-25's budget, there were two propositions. One was to take money out of the general fund capital reserve and use it to fund projects. And this is the 2018 capital reserve that has a maximum of $25 million. And you've been successfully funding when you have savings under budget and then transferring according to voter approval into the capital project fund for those projects that you need to do. The budget also, and this is reflected in this year's financial statement, had a third proposition about moving some money back from the capital project capital reserve back to the general fund capital reserve. And why would that be? Because when projects are completed and this funding left over, you need the community's approval to move that funding back over and repurpose it within the general fund. So you did everything correctly with respect to the propositions, and I'm sure legal counsel was very helpful in drafting those for you. So we see that the capital project fund is working very successfully. You're coming to the end of the project worksheet submission process with respect to FEMA. The district faced a extremely expensive situation with respect to what they needed to fund for and wait for the federal money and the state share to come in after the insurance proceeds have been identified. And you did what you needed to do from a conservative standpoint to make certain that you had the funding available, just in case you didn't get all of the funding that was expected from the state and the federal government. And so that worked out pretty well. When you look at the capital project schedule, you'll see that the remaining portion that's sitting out there is pretty close to what's expected to be collected from the state. So I think the district did a really good job from a conservative standpoint as far as setting aside funds ahead of time, just in case you didn't get the opportunity to collect, because every item was really screened fairly well by the federal government. With respect to the levy, so the levy, as we know, was within the tax cap, well below the tax cap. So that's one of the things that we audit also, that the information is provided is the correct information. And we do see that what was recited in the budget brochure does match up with what was reported. With respect to the food service program, the other thing that you'll notice in the financial statement, so there is a monetary support within the general fund budget for the food service program, because it's expensive, as all schools know, to run a food service program. And I think the interesting thing to note when you get the chance to look at the financial statement is the monetary support that was needed was significantly less than the previous year, okay? So you did get some additional funding, there was supply chain assistance funding, but the district is also really watching their costs in order to really kind of shrink the contribution from the general fund operating budget. So those were just some highlights that you'll notice as you walk through the financial statement. The document behind the financial statement itself is a communication under the professional standards. If there was any difficulties encountered in performing the audit, they would be noted here, they were not noted within. If there were any deviations from the generally accepted accounting principles and any policies adopted, they would be noted or not noted. As I mentioned, we had cooperation, it's recited in this document also. And at the tail end of this document are adjusting journal entries. We obviously have access to financial information well after the books and records are closed. So as your auditor, I would be expecting to propose adjustments. I think the good thing is that the school district goes ahead and takes whatever we propose as adjusting journal entries and incorporates them into their books and records. So that when it comes time for them to file their document, their ST3 with the State Education Department, it matches up with that financial statement which we file at the Office of the State Controller. The third document is going to be what's known as the management letter. So I've talked to the board before about what the internal control structure, that's the checks and balances over the financial transactions that the school district has. is in place for Long Beach School District. And so the management letter is a chance to look procedurally at ways to maybe even shore up that internal control structure more. I think the nice thing that you'll note, or the good thing you'll note when you look through this letter, is that whatever we have brought to the Board of Education's attention and Mr. DeVito's attention, procedures were put in place. So all the comments except for one, we want us to do the grants. And this is a matter of like looking at every single grant and making sure that we have the opportunity to have enough funding to cover whatever the program costs are. And sometimes that's not the case, and you need to support that with general fund dollars, okay? But that's the only comment we have remaining from the previous year. So I think the business office has done a really good job with procedurally identifying how to make that good internal control structure even better. The last document is a report on the extra classroom activity funds. So even though these are the students' monies, the State Education Department wants your auditor to look at this on a cash basis. So there's discrete accounting records for every activity or club that's authorized by the Board of Education. And we look at the receipts, we look at the disbursements, we look at the supporting payment orders, cash receipts, to make sure the documentation is appropriate, that there's a student involved with faculty advisors, and this is all very good. And you can see by club and activity, what was actually received, what was dispersed, opening and closing balances. So those are the 4 documents I have with the Board of Education tonight. Excuse me.
Great. So any questions that we have, we should pose to Mr. DeVito and he'll respond back?
Yes.
Great. Okay, Madam Most of us.
Thank you, Tina.
Thank you, Joe.
No, just thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for
I
coming.
really appreciate it. Thank you.
No, and I think we can now take items 3, 4, and 5.
Alright, can I get a motion to accept, personnel presentations for kind of 3, 4, and 5?
Motion.
Alright, so I got someone with a motion, someone with a second. Any discussion? Alright, Mrs. Kelsey,
Yes.
Ms. Conway,
Yes.
Ms. Pace,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Alright, great, Board of Education, additional new or old business, if any.
I just have a few, actually not even a few, just 1 or 2. So first I had the pleasure of going to see our volleyball teams and our hockey teams. Our hockey team started yesterday, it's a great game. And I really want to commend the supervisors who were there. And our students are just very well behaved, very respectful. And you see community members come out, they came to the volleyball game, a lot of alumni, and to the hockey game. So it's wonderful how our school partners with our community and can bring such joy. So please give my thanks to our supervisors for all of their hard work. This morning, I don't know how many of you know, but there was a car accident right on Greenway in Lido, not involving us or our students. But however, I live there and I can tell you that corner is quite busy with accidents. I see people driving through on red lights constantly. There's been many accidents there. And I am worried about our parents, our families, and our kids. Many of our students, you see riding their bikes. And I feel that on Lido Boulevard, especially now in the fall season, the sunlight is hitting the roadway in such a way that people can't always see that it's a red light. So I really feel that we need some type of security there. Crossing guards, 4th precincts. So I would like to recommend that we call them, that we speak with them, and that we find a way where we can safeguard that street for all of our families, and especially our students.
Mrs. Conway, we certainly will do that, and I will reach out to our county legislator as well. I just wanted to let you know that we have done that several times in the past, and we were told that the county does not have budget for an additional crossing guard at that corner. We'll certainly do it again, but I might recommend that you spread the word among your neighbors in that area, because I think what works better than the school district calling are taxpayers and constituents calling. And I think that has a better chance of getting a positive response. However, we will do our part as well.
Okay, thank you.
With that being said, maybe some parents out there, you know, kids who take that route, tell them to be extra mindful of that, because the glare is pretty treacherous in the morning and people are rushing in the morning. I know we have a Blackheath, we have a crossing guard over there, but not everyone's able to get to that intersection, so we can tell our kids to be extra mindful, because it was an accident.
Well, usually the kids there, I see them crossing and they're riding their bikes, they're usually very careful. It's the cars who are driving east that need to be more mindful. So if you can tell your neighbors too, when they're driving on that corner, to really be careful, because you do have kids coming out riding their bicycles, going to school.
And like we always say, we trust our kids, we just don't trust all the drivers on the road, so we can try to get some more help.
That's what I tell my kids all the time.
My kids too. My kids too, yeah.
Yeah, I just want to also take this opportunity to thank, I see that Mrs. Joan Ramirez, our district treasurer, Mr. Brian Oper, our assistant business manager, are here this evening, and I just want to thank them for all their efforts over the year, and especially in preparation of the audit. It's a team effort, and we work very well together, and it's through this team effort that we have such a positive audit report this evening. So I want to thank everybody in the business office, in particular, Mr. Oper. This is really good.
Thank you, Mr. DeVito. Thank you.
Hey, Karen. Any other comments from the board? New world business, very nice. Moving on. Any questions or comments on any item from the public? Feel free to come up and speak. You have 3 minutes. State your name and who can. If you'd like to come up, you don't have to if you don't want to.
I was just gonna say in regards to,
Come on. Okay. All right. Thanks, Dana.
hi, Danielle Ferraro, 460 East Hudson Street. I was just gonna say, what number, who do we call for the security?
Fourth precinct?
Or your Nassau County legislator.
Do not call 911.
Don't call that.
No,
Fourth
but,
precinct.
Nassau County legislator, you can write a letter, it's Patrick Mully. Email, call his office.
And can I tell you, I live over here, I've called the fourth precinct before, and I've gotten, okay, and then, nothing.
A red light camera requires no budget, so something like that might be a really easy solution to suggest.
Please call.
We have.
Yeah.
We asked for one at Lido too, at the middle school. And
It's like a moneymaker.
Not speak here.
They do have the speed limit signs, so
We used
people
to have one
know.
by school, and I think it
We
was.
need them over here.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public? No? Great. Thank you so much. All right, moving on. Announcements. Classroom Teachers Association.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. We look forward to working together in the next few years to implement the new New York State graduation requirements. Although it will require lots of planning and hard work, ultimately we do think it will benefit our students for many years to come. Congratulations to those being appointed tonight and or retiring, especially to Ms. Dolan. We will miss you and thank you.
Thank you. Administrative Supervisor DPS.
We'd just like to congratulate Ms. Dolan on her retirement. Be missed.
Group C. All right, PTSA.
Alright, congratulations, Ms. Gilman. Also, with Thanksgiving around the corner, I just want to remind everybody of our scholarship pie sale. It's one of our 2 fundraisers for the year. My circle come wrong for pasta, I'm not really you. This pie sale, we sell pies, soups, cookies, breads, dips. They all come from White Coast Farms, and all the proceeds go towards scholarships for our high school students. It's been floating around the district. We'll post it again with the links, and there are gluten-free options and options for people with allergy requirements. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out.
The deadline is November 17th.
Yeah, it's Sunday. Yes, and then the pickup is going to be at the middle school auditorium on November 26th from 3 to 6.
Thank you so much. All right, with that, motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Motion.
Aye. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.